Hi, I'm meteorologist Tony Petrarca in the Pinpoint 12 Forecast Center. You've clicked on the Weather Now link on this Wednesday evening, about 7 o'clock. A lot of rain, a lot of wind on the way for tonight. We had a little bit, not much obviously, but a little bit of wet snow earlier this evening. But bottom line, the warmer air taking over a lot quicker, and the net result is that very little in the way of snow. But the one part of the forecast that hasn't changed, and that is we do have a rain and windstorm on the way for tonight. As of 7 o'clock, New Bedford, you're fairly quiet, but this heavier rain is right on our doorstep, so it'll start to pick up. Threat tracker is elevated for this evening and overnight. Heavy rain, downpours, and let's not forget the strong wind gusts, too. Potential for gusts 40 to 55 miles per hour out of the south. A wind advisory officially goes into effect 9 o'clock this evening. As we get closer to midnight, those winds really ramping up. Could even be some isolated power outages. Localized street flooding later on this evening. Potential for some river flooding. So there's a lot to cover, so be patient while I get through all of this. Thursday actually looks better. It's going to dry out. It's going to be windy. Here's a satellite radar composite, and let me widen out the view, and you can see out towards the mid-Atlantic and off to the south, that big surge of much heavier rain. All this green represents rain. The blue up here is snow. This is all advancing north and east. Here's a wider view. And this is kind of a pipeline of moisture from roughly Norfolk, Virginia, Atlantic City, New Jersey, Long Island, New York. All of this ahead of a warm front is headed our way. In fact, the temperatures are actually going to rise rather than fall overnight as that warm front approaches. So that red line, the warm front, will enhance the downpours. It'll help to increase the wind and also to produce these very mild temperatures overnight. In fact, here we are. This is around midnight. It's raining everywhere. Far northern New England, blue is snow. All this yellow and orange and red and darker green, those are very heavy downpours. This is midnight. Take you into overnight, pre-dawn hours, still some very heavy downpours. But most of this is pushing offshore. Notice by 9 in the morning, it's done. So actually improving weather. It'll be a windy, drier Thursday with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Actually pretty warm in the morning, up to 50. It'll cool into the 40s during Thursday afternoon. So your Thursday looks good. So let's concentrate on what's going on for this evening and overnight. First, the rainfall forecast. Generally, 2.5 inches of rain over a short amount of time. And the net result here is a flood watch. For areas in green, localized street flooding, those streets that normally just don't do too well in heavy rainstorms. And I'm going to keep an eye on local rivers and streams, especially the smaller ones. So here's the case with the Patuxent River in Cranston, the Wood River in Hope Valley, and the Pawcatuck River in Westerly. A flood warning for all three of those rivers. They're below flood stage now, but anticipated to go above flood stage, minor to borderline moderate flooding on those rivers overnight into early tomorrow morning with the anticipation of a lot of rain over a short amount of time. And then here's the wind. And it will be strong gusts out of the south. So areas in light brown from Providence to Warwick, south and east, a southerly gust of 45 to 55 miles per hour. Outside of the watch of the advisory area, gusts of 35 to 40. So quite simply, gusts of this magnitude, there could be some isolated wind damage, some isolated power outages. Now, there is a coastal flood advisory overnight tonight, later on this evening and overnight at the time of high tide, strong onshore wind. That includes communities up Narragansett Bay, Buzzards Bay, but fortunately anticipated to be minor coastal flooding. In the meantime, for this evening, any mixed precipitation, and there's not much out there now, transitioning over to moderate to eventually heavy rain. Notice by 11 o'clock, both rain and wind really ramping up. Drier Thursday morning, and maybe a leftover shower early. Otherwise, a mix of clouds and sun developing. 51 at 7 a.m. It does gradually cool down. Very windy but dry day. Temperatures gradually cooling through the lower 40s during the afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine. So wrapping it up, a lot of rain tonight, strong wind, localized street flooding, keeping an eye on rivers and streams, strong wind gusts, potential for some scattered or sporadic power outages, especially later in the evening and during the overnight. All right, that's your latest Weather Now update. Thanks for logging in. We'll talk to you soon.